and the internal systems that they have are actually very quick. So when I made my own pathfinding system, it had to do it reading the lines of code, and that meant it was very slow. It wasn't until later versions of GameMaker that they implemented pathfinding routines that made it very fast and extremely effective for pathfinding. But in this version, I had to make my own. It was an algorithm that didn't always find the target. It was something that would maybe eventually get there, but it wouldn't always do that. Also, there was a speed consideration because realized that when I made this, I was on something like a 566 megahertz computer, Celeron, and it really didn't have a lot of processing power. This game, I wanted to make sure it at least ran on that computer so that I knew that other people could play this game, because a lot of GameMaker games, even very basic ones, had such high requirements because GameMaker, if you don't use it correctly, will go extremely slow. I'm going to quit this map here and go and try the case mode so you can kind of see what I was talking about with the pathfinding. One of the things that I really liked about this mode is that when you're grabbing the cases, you can actually pick up all four. But notice how extremely slow you walk when you have it. So it's really, in this game, because it's a single-player game, it's really not possible to get all four and to escape, because someone's going to shoot you. But you can take two, let's say you're down a few points. Oh, you can take two cases, you can go back, and you can get back into it. But this game, there's a lot of flaws with it. It doesn't... The enemies, for instance, again, the pathfinding was not very good. If the enemy gets the case, which it's very rare that they ever do get the case because they're very horrible at navigating, most likely they'll never cache it. Because once they get the case, they'll just be walking around for ages and they'll die. They'll get killed by someone. Given that I have a two-gun system, I really think I could have done a lot more with the guns that I have. If you notice in some of the games today that have the dual-gun systems, they will often have combinations that make sense, where you'll have one gun that, like in Halo, for instance, they have the plasma pistol that if you do a full charge and shoot someone with it, it'll completely remove their shield. And then with your other gun, with, let's say, a pistol, you can then quickly kill them. In this game, the gun combinations aren't really too strategic beyond certain guns being better than others. Basically, the pistol is the weakest, but it fires reasonably fast. Then there's the Magnum here, which is very powerful. It's very accurate, but it's slow. There's the shotgun, the one-handed shotgun, which is very powerful, but slow. Horrible accuracy. The automatic shotgun, which is very fast, very powerful, but it takes a long time to reload, but he doesn't have that big of a clip. And there's the machine gun. The machine gun's probably the best gun in this game, I'd say, because it has a big clip, it does reasonable damage, and it shoots pretty... It shoots reasonably. So I'm just going to get these last cases here. The one big problem is that when you do have a case, you can't shoot. Now, first of all, not only can you not see that, because what I wanted to do was have that you're actually holding the case. But in this, you can see that I'm still holding my two guns. But that really doesn't make sense. It should be that, I think ideally, it should be that you can carry up to two cases, and each case occupies one hand. So that you could conceivably carry a case and still hold on to a pistol that you could defend yourself with. But again, this is very basic. This is a very early game of mine. This was the early stages of this series, and there was a lot of ambitious ideas for it. I'm going to see if I can play with no one else. Okay, I'll play with one guy. In this map, I actually have plants, which is pretty good because it's something to, I guess, spice up the level a little bit. And I wish I would have had more of these, because in the other levels, it's so plain where there's very little. It's just walls, windows, not a lot. So another thing that I was thinking, again, talking about modes, was having something like a Counter-Strike mode where each team starts off with their players, let's say 4 per team. Once you die, you're dead for that round, and then whoever is alive at the end, that's the team that wins. Which then, each round, these objects can respawn, which would then make it more strategic. Things you could have, like explosive barrels, cover, like desks and chairs and stuff like that. So in this game, in terms of the upgrades from the beta demo, you can notice the walking system. It's a smooth walking system. And same with the Strafe here. And I think the death animations were improved. I'm going to kill this guy here. And you can see that he kind of... I don't know if I had that in the last one or not, but they kind of... Their death animations, at the very least, I added more of them. I know that, for instance, he's on the ground here, but if I kill him against the wall, like right here, he'll lean against the wall like that. Basically, I added some more death conditions. I added some more sprites, like you can see the different hair and the different skin color. But even then, I think I could have done a lot more. But this, just getting this game out, I know that the multiplayer component was really not my concern. I mostly cared about the single player aspect. So getting this out was more like a tech demo more than it was anything. I just wanted to release something to show, I guess, the tech of the game, and just to kind of see what people were thinking of it so far. There's really only one thing left in this game that I haven't shown yet, and that's the map Frailty, which there is something special about it. It's the only map in the game where the walls are destroyed. If you shoot a wall enough, let's see if I can do it, you can see the walls eventually disappear. And this eventually just turns into a giant battleground. It's an idea that I think it's a good idea, but the way this is executed, it's just, like, first of all, look at these floors here. It really doesn't make any sense. Why are these rooms? It's just arbitrary. It's just, okay, I'm going to put a rug here, a rug there. The design of these levels is very basic. The walls, the wall destruction, I think, could have been a lot better. But again, this is such an early game. Didn't really have a lot of experience at the time, and I was kind of just wanting to release something. Because if I wouldn't have released this game... In fact, I think if you think about it, if I never would have released this game or the Infiltrator beta demo, no one would even know that this was ever a series that I ever even wanted to do. I mean, not a lot of people even know about this series to begin with, but I think it's important to have, especially now, all of the games that I make, I always try and make sure that I'm building it from a perspective of where, if I need to, I can kind of release something out there so that people can take a look at it. And the reason why I think this is important is it's really easy to work on a game and lose track of time and not really hold yourself accountable. If you work on a game for 6 months, you might not actually have anything to show for. I know on some of the projects that I did, I'd work on it for like 6 months, and in all reality, there was nothing that you could physically play. It was just, oh, there's some interfaces, there's some features and stuff like that, but really nothing that you could actually play. And I think if you just plan it where there is something that you can play, and you can get feedback from people and just kind of show what you're working on, it's a really good way to generate interest in your project, see what people think, and get stuff out there. Because otherwise, it's so easy to work on a game for... I mean, I've worked on projects before. You can work on it for a year and not have anything that you could even realistically play. It's just all tech. And in some cases, you may need to do that. But I think whenever possible, you need to try and get stuff out there. Because, I mean, this series in general, these games are very basic and simple games. There's really nothing too special about them, especially nowadays. But if you don't release things, you're never going to... You're missing out on a lot of experience. I think that's about everything in this game. This is more or less just like the original Infiltrator beta demo. Just a tech thing. Speaking of the whole alpha model, releasing alphas, I had so many versions of this game that I probably, if I just would have put more thought into it and planned differently, I could have released even more of these demo things. And I think it was a mistake not to do that, because I could have got more interest in the series, see what people think, and just kind of see where the game's headed. That's the Infiltrator Deathmatch. Just a few notes of things that I didn't bring up. You can't see it in this video, but the title bar of this game doesn't even say the Infiltrator Deathmatch. I don't know how the hell I missed something so simple like that. Once again, this game uses a very bizarre resolution, 500 by 400. I don't know why I picked those numbers. And this was actually the very first game that I had an offer, well, some kind of monetary offer of some sort, where someone actually wanted to buy this game as a whole and sell it themselves. And I don't even think there wasn't really much negotiation, just because at the time I was so adamant on doing the series myself, and I didn't want to have really anyone else involved. But I was kind of blown away that someone even said that in the first place, because I really don't know how the hell you would make any money off of this game. I think the guy told me he wanted to do something like, he wanted to burn this on floppy disks or something like that and sell it. I have no idea what the hell his plan was, but I think either way, no one would have made money, including myself or him. But I just thought that was it kind of gave me an ego boost at the time, because I thought, oh yeah, I'm getting there. I'm going to make games that are eventually going to sell. That's the Infiltrator Deathmatch, and the next game I'm going to do is Downtown and Crazy Town, the remake. And if you have any questions or comments, just post them below and I'll do the best I can to answer them.